Hello everyone. I'm trying to wait for everybody to get in here, but I hope that fish tank is not too loud, and I hope that everybody's having an amazing day today. This is my first TikTok live. Usually I'm on Instagram, so I'm very excited about today. Today we're going to be talking about just understanding reprogramming and reparenting, and understanding what is going on with our food industry, and understanding how duality takes a toll on that. And you have to understand that we are sitting here consuming, and unawarely consuming at that, and not taking care of our body and giving it the nutrients that it needs. And since we're sitting here consuming and we're not consciously consuming, we are harming ourselves. And we have to make a change in our lifestyle in order for us to take care of ourselves and in order for us to be healthy. So we're going to start with the definition of what duality is, because duality was kind of heavy on TikTok, I think probably last year. So we're going to talk about the definition of what is duality in the body. And duality in general is the balance between two opposites. And so understanding what duality is, and understanding that it's a balance between two opposites, we have to look at duality in the body and understand that one will always be higher than the other, whether it's you being rooted in a false narrative or you being rooted in the truth of what your body should be treated like, and how you should be eating, consuming, and using your nutrients. And so we sit here and we wonder, if we are so imbalanced with our habits and we're so imbalanced with what we're consuming, which reality are you choosing? Are you choosing to be rooted in the reality of your truth? Or are you choosing to be rooted in the reality of you being sick, you being diseased, you being riddled with a bunch of issues going on inside of your body because you're not taking care of yourself? And so ponder on that and think about that. What are you doing for yourself in order for your health to be at the way that it needs to, and to support your body the way that you should be? And a lot of us are not doing that. We look at society and we look at how society is, and we see that society is not taking care of themselves. We're being fit inside this box of what is normal. And when they say what's normal, it's really just them telling us like, hey, you can consume this junk that has toxic ingredients inside of it, because at the end of the day, if you are consuming this way, they're making money off of you. They're profiting off of the life that you're living. And so it's time for you to realize that you are choosing the false narrative of you thinking that you're consuming in moderation and you're consuming real foods and giving yourself nutrients, because that's just not true. You're not supporting your body. And so we have to sit here and realize that our non-physical, which is our mind and our soul, which is our beliefs, our belief system of what we have for ourselves, is completely impacting our body, our brain, which is our actions. And so our belief system is thrown completely off, and we don't understand that our beliefs are rooted in a false narrative, and it's leading us from the non-physical to the physical, which is inflammation, disease, and struggling in life, and wasting away earlier than what we're supposed to, because tons of people are sick at a very young age, and it's only getting worse. And we have to look at society to realize that things aren't working the way that it should, and we have to realize that people aren't consuming and giving their body nutrients like it needs. And we see, because we have people that are anxious and depressed and walking around on this earth and are sitting here taking all these antidepressants, taking anxiety medication, sitting here doing all of these things instead of actually taking care of their body. Because I say this all the time, and you could check out my YouTube if you haven't seen any of my past lives. We are not consuming the way that we need to get the nutrients that we need. So we're thrown off chemically in the brain. And since we're so thrown off chemically inside of our brain and imbalanced, we're sitting here making ourselves sick. And since we're making ourselves sick and we're anxious and depressed as a society, we're masking it with prescriptions. We're masking it with medications. And that's with any issue that you're having inside of your body, you're taking a medication for, you're taking a supplement for. You're just masking the actual issue that you have, which is that you have an imbalance inside of your body, and your body is speaking to you and telling you that you are imbalanced and something is off and something is wrong. And so it's up to you to choose the positive, to choose the lifestyle that you want. And it's up to you to choose to be rooted in the truth of that you deserve health. You deserve to be treating your body like the temple of heaven, the temple in general, to treat your body how the Most High has designed us. It's up to you to choose that. And so you have to understand that if you are not choosing that for yourself, you're sitting here rooted in the false narrative of struggling and not supporting yourself and developing diseases, being sick, not understanding how to take care of your body, and not understanding how to support your body. And since you're sitting here not knowing how to support your body, you are literally harming yourself. You are struggling, and you are poisoning yourself with the food that you were eating. The foods that you are consuming currently are not supporting you in being healthy. And since you're choosing to eat a whole bunch of junk, you are poisoning yourself with the ingredients that are inside your food, because you don't know how to read your labels, because you don't understand how to read labels. And when somebody tells you that something like citric acid is mold, it's black mold at that, you're looking and you're like, okay, but where are we eating this black mold? Flip your ingredients around, flip your product around, and look at the ingredients and see. There are so many different things that have citric acid in it. There's more likely than not, majority of the products in your pantry have citric acid in them. And you don't know where the citric acid is derived from, because they say that it can be derived from a natural form, but majority of these companies do not use the natural citric acid, and that is from a citrus fruit, something that produces citrus. In reality, it's easier, it's cheaper, and they can mass produce it from black mold. And they take it from these black mold originals, they put it in these factories, they curate it in a lab, take the things that don't make you immediately sick out of it, but keep the product of the mold, so that the mold can keep the product from molding itself. And then they put it inside of your food to keep it as a preservative. So they're adding mold to your food to preserve the food that you're consuming. Like, make it make sense. And so we have to understand that we have literally fed into the false narrative of us being healthy for so long. We don't even know what health really looks like. And we don't really know how to take care of our body. And since we have fed into that false narrative for so long, we are sitting here poisoning ourselves with things like citric acid, because we're told that it can come from a natural source. So we don't ask any questions. We don't question these companies that we know don't care about us. We know that are poisoning us. We just continuously consume and overfill ourselves. And majority of society does not understand that we consume like animals. Like, I'm not in that category anymore. I do not consume that way, but I used to. People are sitting here consuming like they are an animal. You see something on a plate and you eat it with no questions asked. You're eating like a pig. Pigs eat anything. They can digest anything. You are not a pig. You cannot digest anything, but you're eating like one. And so we have to understand that you are not meant to sit here and consume from all these different companies and all these different places and not ask any questions. You think you going to a restaurant is asking questions is you being inconveniencing. Like, you're paying them to be there. So you should be asking questions. What are you cooking this food in? What kind of oil are you using? Where did you get your chicken from? Like, all these should be questions. If you're going to be sitting here eating meat, if you're going to be consuming dairy, you should be asking more questions than I do when I go to a restaurant. And my questions usually are, do you cook this with anything with meat or dairy? And what kind of oil do you cook your food in? That's about the only thing that I have to ask, because I live a plant-based lifestyle. I am plant-based. That's the reason why that I'm on here as a plant-based lifestyle strategist, because I teach you to understand what is going inside of your food, understand the harmful things that are inside your food, the poisons, the toxic chemicals that you are consuming that you need to release, and how to release them. Give you the strategies that support you in the lifestyle that you're living so that you can be healthier. Because we have to understand that believing in this false narrative of us consuming in moderation and us being healthy is leading us to diseases. Because it says it in scripture, the fact that if you are sitting here consuming unknowingly and you're sitting here not following his ways and his will, and you are sitting here consuming things that are causing inflammation inside of your body because you're telling yourself that it's okay for you to eat it, and you know that it's inflammatory and it's making you sick, and you're sitting here not following his will and his way, you are sitting here giving yourself to the world. You're choosing the earth's way instead of his way, and you are sitting here with inflammation, disease, and you're wasting away. And that's in Ephesians 26, that it tells you that if you are not choosing the Most High's way, we're sitting here inflamed, disease, and wasting away. And you can look at society. This is not just something that I'm just pulling out of my butt. You can look at society and see we're riddled with disease. People are sitting here with all the inflammation in the world. I've never seen this many people inflamed in my life, because you look back at like people from the early 90s to the 80s and things like that. We all talk about how healthy they looked and how healthy they were. And now we see all these people here now in society who are sitting here dealing with PCOS symptoms, having heart disease earlier and earlier, having heart problems earlier in life. There's teens that are having heart attacks. There are people sitting here with different inflammation diseases. I had asthma developed at one point. Like, you have to understand that this is all a sign of inflammation. When your body is showing you signs of inflammation, it's because you have toxins build up inside of you. And so these toxins that build up inside of you are storing inside of your fat cells. And so when you have things like excess fat, when you're sitting here overweight, when you're sitting here not exercising like you need to be releasing and sweating and doing all these different things for you to cleanse yourself outside of tinctures, you are harming yourself and you're leading yourself to being sick. And so you have to realize that we are not taking care of our body the way that we need to as a society. And since we're not taking care of ourselves the way that we need to, we are leading ourselves to be inflamed. And we are inflamed as a society. We are built up with too many toxins and we don't realize it. And then when somebody brings up the fact that you are inflamed, you go take a prescription, masking the issue, because that's all it does. It doesn't actually release your inflammation. It's just masking the issue. And so looking at that and understanding that you have fed into the false narrative that they have fed to you and they have programmed into you, and it's time for you to reprogram that. But we have to understand how to get there. And so we have to break down first what we're doing currently right now to ourselves. And like I said, we're a society filled with inflammation. We're sitting here diseased and we're wasting away because of the choices that we're choosing when it comes to our food. Because food deserves to be used as a medicine. Food is your medicine. And so we have to understand that and break it down. What is disease? Because if you look at the two things, the first the first three letters, breaking it down into two word, I'm trying to think of it, into 2 words. Breaking down disease is dis-ease inside of your body. Disease is dis-ease. So breaking that down and going back to your belief and understanding your belief of you're rooted in this false narrative of thinking that you're healthy and you're taking care of your body. So now you're sitting here with dis-ease inside of your body because you're toxic from the inside. Your belief is impacting your actions. And so you're sitting here with this false narrative belief that you're taking care of your body. And so you continuously do what you're doing and making yourself inflamed, leading yourself to disease. And as you develop more diseases over time, your disease gets worse or whatever you have to understand that you are leading yourself to having cancer. And so as you're going along and you're leading yourself down this path of being inflamed and riddled with disease, you are leading yourself to cancer. And since you're leading yourself to cancer and not changing your narrative of what you believe of what is healthy, and understanding that these people who have these titles of, all of these titles that are over our food are not supporting you and they're not caring about you, but rather you're sitting here believing that they care about you, even though they're the ones that are paying these people who to make you sick. And then they get paid when you are sick because you have to keep going back and forth to the doctor. It's like you have to connect the dots. So if you don't know how to connect the dots for yourself, this is what I'm doing for you. I'm helping you to understand, to connect the dots, to make it make sense, and for you to understand that you have to break this down and you have to sit there and educate yourself and to understand that you need to deprogram what you have been taught and to reprogram your mind and get back to the basics. And getting back to the basics looks like you living a plant-based lifestyle, and not just to suffer and just to be sitting here not enjoying the food that you're eating, but rather for you to understand that if you're getting back to the basics, you're getting your body back to a resetting state to be healthy. And getting back to the basics is you eating real fruits and vegetables, whole foods that are organic and that are supporting your body. Because when your body is eating fruits and vegetables on a fruit and vegetable diet, a lifestyle, I don't like the word diet, and I'll break that down in a second. But you have to understand that in that lifestyle, you're supporting your body in healing. And when your body is in a healing state constantly, it's not only getting rid of the inflammation, it's keeping you, preventing you from developing diseases, and it's keeping you away from cancer, because cancer cannot thrive in an environment unless it's toxic. And so if you have all these toxins built up inside of your body because it's storing inside of your fat cells and you're doing nothing about it, you're toxic on the inside. So the cancer is feeding off of it. But if you are not toxic on the inside and you're supporting your body with the things that you're consuming, now you're sitting here healing, and you're constantly healing, and you're healing from the problems that you have. Because for me, I had asthma. I had developed asthma from working out, and I had absolutely no idea how that could happen and where it came from. I was suffering from knee pain at a very young age. Like I was probably a 6th grader, 5th grader dealing with knee pain. And when I say knee pain, like it was literally like doing squats for me felt like my knee was going to pop out. I had to wear a knee brace at a young age. I never had knee surgery, but my doctor did tell me if I kept playing volleyball into college, by 22, I'd have to have a knee surgery. I'm 25. Here I am now. I no longer have any asthma. I do not have any more knee pain. I can literally do squats. I can sit in a squatted position, no issue. And I worked with kids for 5 years. And so at first, when I first started working in that, because I've been in the lifestyle for 3.5 years, I couldn't squat for that long. When I squatted, it was maybe 30 seconds or less. And I knew because my knee could lock up. Now I can squat and I can do it for moments on end. Like when I tell you, like, I can tie your shoes, I can see you tie my shoes. Like I can do things in a squatted position and have no knee pain. And I've been suffering from knee pain since 6th grade. The lifestyle supports you in being healthy. It's just about you knowing how to take care of yourself. And getting into the lifestyle can be easy, but you have to understand how to support yourself to get into the lifestyle. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you to understand how to get into the lifestyle and how to start and to do it with ease so that you're not struggling and you know how to do it for yourself. And so if you want a tailored strategy for you that is going to support you and it's going to allow you to get into the lifestyle easier, it's going to allow you to understand how to get into the lifestyle, give you the foundation that you need to stick with the lifestyle, I can support you in doing that. And right now, I have an amazing bundle that is going on where if you book a one-on-one with me, you get not only that one-on-one call that gives you the strategy and it tailored to you to help you support you with the lifestyle that you have now so that you can make swaps to start the healthy foundation, but you also get my previous masterclass that I have that is the foundation for you to become plant-based and understanding what's going on with our food, why you need to switch, and then showing you steps of how you're going to start doing that for yourself with my Purge the Poison ebook as well. So you get 3 for 1 price. And my Purge the Poison ebook, you can get that by itself. It's $11 right now currently, or you can get the Purge the Poison ebook and the foundation for $47. But all 3 will support you because not only will you get the strategy, but you'll be able to ask me questions in between in that time, and we'll curate something specifically for you to help you be able to start transitioning into switching things in your pantry and switching things in your lifestyle so that you don't have to go without, because I'm not without in this lifestyle. And I just started simply by reading the ingredients that I was consuming on the back of the packages, and that's what I help you with my Purge the Poison ebook. And it's only $11 if you just want to start the foundation and just understanding what you're consuming currently. It gives you common toxic ingredients that are inside our food to show you that you are sitting here poisoning yourself by eating a bunch of junk and you never look at the ingredients and flip it around. And so I'm showing you and have a game inside the ebook just to show you, like, it can be easy for you to do this and to spot the difference of what a healthy, nutritious thing looks like when it comes to the ingredients versus the crap that they give us, these hot Cheetos, these Funyuns, these things that have red dye in them. You're sitting here eating Swedish fish, like eating ramen. That was a big thing for me, was eating ramen, because that's making you so inflamed. You have to understand how to support your body and taking care of yourself. And so all of my links are in my Instagram, my Facebook bio. I do not have it in my TikTok bio, but you can DM me if you want a direct link to those. But just understand that we have been fed into a false narrative of believing that we're taking care of ourselves because we've been fit into this little box of my plates, you know, food pyramids, us getting got milk campaigns, and believing that that's giving us strong bones, not realizing that these people are paid to sit here and program us into believing that we're healthy. They're sitting here getting paid to market to us to eat the crap that is making us sick. And that's because then when we're sick, they get paid more money. And so every diagnosis, think about this, every time you get diagnosed with something, they get money. The doctors get money, the hospitals get money, the pharmaceutical companies get money, and all of them are tailored around the same things of profiting off of the food industry. And we have to realize that, because they want us diseased. They want us in a diseased state full of toxins, because that leads you to cancer. And cancer is a billion-dollar company, just like the pharmaceutical company, because people are constantly getting sick and having to do chemo, and chemo is not cheap, or all these other things that they're starting to come out with, because they have the little cancer pill now. They have all these things that are alternatives, rather than just telling you that if you do a fast and you do a fruit cleanse for a certain amount of time, cancer cannot thrive in that state because it's no longer toxic. Cancer thrives off of toxicity. And so they don't tell you that. And the reason why they don't is because then you would be healing and they wouldn't be making money like they do. You wouldn't be sitting here thinking that you have to almost unalive yourself on a treatment plan, as they call it, not realizing that you're making yourself suffer and literally killing off your good cells because of how you're consuming. And you're consuming it through a bunch of chemicals because they tell you this is the only way that you're going to survive. And you keep believing it. But these are the same people that made you sick. And so we have to release the false narrative that we have been taught. We have to release it. And if y'all are wondering what I'm looking at my notes. But we have to understand that, like, our society is riddled with diseases because we're mentally ill, we're physically ill, and we're emotionally ill. So us mentally ill is us with all these anxiety attacks, us sitting here with panic attacks, because I was suffering from panic attacks like no other at one point. And I had never had a panic attack until I got into high school. And prescriptions are not a thing. Like, when it comes to like going to a therapist and things, that's not a thing in my household. So it was like, I was just sitting there trying to figure out what was going on with me. And then, like, society's full of people who are anxious and depressed, and they're sitting here paranoid and doing all of these things, taking antidepressants, not realizing that they're poisoning themselves on top of the poison that they're eating with these prescriptions. Because prescriptions are literally taken and derived either from straight chemicals, or they take an herb, like how they say now that Western medicine is better than you using holistic medicine. They took the herb from holistic medicine and then added chemicals with it and started selling it to you. And that's crazy to me how people don't realize that, because it's like, if you look up what's in your Tylenol, the first ingredient is white willow bark. And white willow bark is a pain medication. It's a pain herb. It's a pain herb. I say medication because that, in my head, that's a medication to me. And so you have to understand that you're sitting here taking a prescription that has chemicals inside of it, rather than when you could just take the white willow bark and it'd be the same. But if you bring up the fact that you want to take an herb to your doctor, they're looking at you telling you that's not safe, when it's not really unsafe. It's just they have not been taught that program. They have not been programmed to teach you that you can cure yourself with fruits and vegetables. They have been taught to push the chemicals onto you and taught to be telling you that, hey, keeping you sick at the end of the day is making me money. And then on top of that, keeping you on prescription keeps you coming back. Because at the end of the day, you will never be healed from a prescription. No Western medicine doctor is telling you that you are healing from their methods. They're telling you that you're managing, and they're telling you that you're helping the issue. But they never say that they're healing you. And you have to peep that. Because when you talk about holistic medicine, every person that I have encountered that talks about holistic medicine talks about the same thing, how they are healed or healing themselves. They never talk about healing when it comes to Western medicine. But holistic medicine, I have not heard one person that goes a holistic method and sit there and talk about how they never healed, that it was a false, that it was a lie. If they actually did it, people will try something for a month and do diet culture and then think it's going to support them, but they've been eating like crap for 25 plus years. That's not going to work. Like, how you take care of your body is to change your lifestyle. How you get out of that false narrative is to change your lifestyle. Understand what you're doing to yourself and start to make change. Because if you want to make change for yourself, it starts with you taking action, but you have to be mentally prepared for that action. And if you are not at the space where you're mentally prepared because you don't know how to get to that space, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do for yourself, I can support you in doing that for yourself, because you deserve to be vibrant, you deserve to be healthy, and you deserve to be energetic in the lifestyle that you're living. You don't deserve to be sick. But that's how they're treating us. Like, we're consumers that deserve to be sick, rather than people, human beings that deserve to be healthy and enjoying their life and not depending on prescriptions, not depending on these doctors. And if you are depending on a doctor right now, I just want to let you know that, like, what do you think is going to happen when things go the way that it did, like it did in 2020, where nobody could go to the doctor unless you had an emergency? And then on top of that, they're making you wait on hours on end for emergencies. They're short on doctors. They're struggling. What do you think is going to happen when that happens again? And it was bad that time because they were not prepared. Do you think they're prepared now? What have they changed now? They told us to sit at home and put masks on. That's all they did. They never actually implemented anything besides another issue, which was a shot. And so you have to realize that these doctors are overworked, these hospitals are overfilled, and if they have a shortage of doctors and we have something happen like 2020, because they've been talking about we have a shortage of doctors, we have a shortage of prescriptions, we have all these issues. If something like 2020 happens again in the near future, which it is, it's going to happen. They have projected it already that something else will probably happen before 2030. You are not going to be able to rely on these prescriptions, these doctors that you really heavily believe in. you have to realize that if you want to be healthy, it starts with you taking action towards you healing and supporting your body. And so we've talked enough about the disadvantages and, believing in the false narrative, but we have to first go over the fact before I get into the positivity of believing in your truth. The disadvantages that are going to happen if you sit here and keep doing what you're doing and living the way that you do, because all you're doing is leading yourself to long-term suffering, whether it's mentally, physically, or emotionally, or financially, because all of those are really going hand in hand. Because you're mentally unstable, your emotions are going to be off. Because you're mentally and emotionally unstable, you're physically going to be imbalanced. Your gut's going to be off. Your systems are going to be off, because your gut and your brain are connected. And so then you're going to be so imbalanced, you're going to be sick all the time. You're going to be suffering, and you're going to have to keep going back and forth to the doctor. And whether your insurance is just the highest of amazing and that you're not paying out of pocket nothing, you're still paying a high premium. You're still paying every month. And then on top of that, if you lead yourself to disease because you're sitting here sick every single day, because stress on the body, we know what it looks like. We know what stress does. And you're constantly stressed. You're constantly inflamed. We know what that does to our body. Financially, you're going to be suffering, and you're going to be sitting here losing your money. And so you have to understand that constantly being imbalanced and constantly lacking the balance in your body is making your body have an inward battle, and your body is constantly battling on the inside. And since your body is constantly craving nutrients and it's battling on the inside, it shows up in the form of disease, dis-ease. Your body is diseased. And so since you have dis-ease inside of your body, it's leading you to have cancer. And so you're being held captive inside of your earthly mind because of the way that you're consuming. You have to realize that being stuck in your earthly mindset and not daily renewing your mind, like it says in scripture in Romans 12, you're sitting here in a pessimistic mindset around being healthy, and you're sitting here thinking that you're consuming the way that you should, and you're consuming in moderation, and you're taking care of yourself, and you're believing in a false narrative, not realizing that you are poisoning yourself. And so it is possible for you to release that. It's possible, but it starts with you realizing that you have been programmed, and you need to deprogram and reprogram and reparent yourself when it comes to your healthy habits and when it comes to the food that you're consuming. And so if you're sitting here and you're like, okay, so how do I operate in the truth? I got you. This is what we're here for. So how do you operate in your truth? What does it look like for you to be sitting here operating in your truth and understanding how to operate in your truth and knowing how to stay in that truth and not go back to the old habits of you being in that false narrative? So operating in your truth and allowing change to happen in your life looks like you first understanding that you are basing your lifestyle on something that is imbalanced, and you're basing your lifestyle on some other person's agenda and not your own agenda, which is the agenda for yourself should be that you want to be healthy and you deserve to be healthy. And since you deserve to be healthy, we're trying to get to that space, and we're trying to learn how. And that starts with you educating yourself. Whether it's you doing what I did and doing research since 2020 all the way until I decided to change 2 years later, or you sitting here deciding that you want to buy in so that you have the easiest way into the lifestyle, so it's not a struggle, so you're not stressing yourself out trying to figure out how to do it by yourself. And I can support you in doing that because I'm a plant-based lifestyle strategist. So if you want to learn more about this, and this will be posted on my YouTube, you can leave a comment on my YouTube video, or you can DM me on any of my social medias, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I was trying to think of the word, but I am here to support you, and I'm open and I'm willing to work with you to understand like what kind of lifestyle you have, how to switch, what you need to know. And if you are sitting here thinking about like that you want to go plant-based but you don't really know how to start, I do have a free survey for you to take and for you to, gain a little knowledge. And I'll send you free little tips, information, and things like that, just for you to see and to dip your toes in to understand how you're supported with the lifestyle. And so we have to go back to the beginning, how we were talking about that, your non-physical leads to your physical. So your mind and your soul leads to your body and your brain's activity. And so the impacts from the non-physical, the impact of which you are sitting here in your mind believing, and what your soul has been rooted in for so long because you've been rooted in this false narrative. If you start to believe in the truth and your body starts to feel and your mind starts to absorb that, and it starts to be a subconscious thought, and it becomes the conscious thought of that you believe the truth, that you deserve real health, that you have to daily renew your mind, and you have to understand that this society, this world is poisoning you, and that you're not deserving the way that they are treating you. And the real whole foods that are going to support you and give you the nutrients is you eating fruits and vegetables, not the dairy, not the meat, because at the end of the day, you do not need all that crap for protein. You don't need it for calcium. They have fed you programming, and you realize that, and you want to be released from that. You will start subconsciously and consciously making choices that lead your body to taking the action towards you being healthier. And so being guided and being directed towards that change looks like you educating yourself. It looks like you making a change for yourself and understanding that that change starts with you. Stop consuming the crap that you're eating. No longer sitting here eating the hot Takis, the hot chips. No longer sitting here eating ramen. No longer sitting here going out and buying all this Captain Crunch and this Lucky Charms, all of the cereal with a bunch of processed sugar. No longer consuming processed white sugar because it's not supporting you. It's making you inflamed, and it's storing inside of you once again, and making your hormones off, throwing your hormones off, throwing you chemically imbalanced in the brain. And you have to understand that, like, this isn't being filtered out of your body because you're not doing anything but piling it on every time you eat it, because you never sit here and do a cleanse correctly. You sit here and buy into all these supplements. You buy into these tinctures that they have on the internet, not realizing that, like, it's as simple as you just slowing yourself down and eating raw fruits, eating real whole foods like fruits and vegetables, sitting here supporting yourself with flushing your body and getting your systems moving the correct way that they should. Because majority of society wakes up and drinks coffee, not realizing, one, majority of the coffee that you were drinking is heavily sprayed with pesticides. So you're consuming a toxic pesticide on top of the coffee, and then this coffee is not supporting your body besides just giving you bowel movements in the bathroom. And then majority of society also is not sitting here consuming coffee just by itself black. They're sitting here putting sugar in it. They're putting creamers in it, dairy creamers at that, sitting here doing all these things that are harming them because they're sitting there thinking they need this for energy, thinking that they have to have this in order for them to make it through the day, not realizing that it's not the way to go, and it's not the way to support yourself. The way to support yourself and to be energized is for you to realize that you're lacking the energy because you're lacking nutrients, because energy comes from the nutrients that you give yourself. If you are getting healthy fats, you're getting iron, and you're getting your proteins, you are going to be in a healthy state. You are going to be supported, and you're going to have energy. Like, that's just as simple as that. So if you are not having the energy that you need, there's an imbalance and there's something off. And so that is what you're supposed to focus on, not sitting there finding something to mask the issue and drinking coffee every single day. People enjoy their coffee. People love their coffee. Before I went to the lifestyle, I enjoyed coffee too. But now I'm sitting here realizing that I only drink coffee for energy. I didn't really drink it because it was something that I really absolutely felt like it was just a must in my life, like I do when it comes to apple juice, because I love apple juice. But it rather was just like something that tasted good because it was full of sugar, and then also gave me energy, so I would drink it so I could make it through the day. But once I started to get the energy from the lifestyle that I had and understood what the energy was going, where it was going, and how I was supporting myself, I started to realize that the energy was supporting me. I mean, the food that I was eating was supporting me having energy. And so once I realized that, and I was supporting myself and being in the plant-based lifestyle, like, it just kept me going. And so that's what I want other people to be able to do for themselves, is to understand the lifestyle and to get into the lifestyle and to be supported with doing it without having to struggle. And so if you have any questions, like I said, all of my DMs are open. And so you have to understand that in order for you to operate correctly in the space that you need to, for you to be rooted in your truth, it first starts with your mindset. And so once we get our mindset correct and we get our mindset focused on what is our goal for ourselves, what do we want in this lifestyle, what do we deserve to have in this lifestyle, then we understand that now it's time for us to move on to taking action. Our mindset is correct. Now what action are we going to take towards that? And so understand that action that you give for yourself, that you take for yourself, is you understanding that now it's time to educate yourself. It's time to make a change. It's time for you to throw the crap out that's in your pantry that is poisoning you because it has toxic ingredients. Start to understand how to read your labels. No longer buying the crap, but start to find alternatives. to the crap that you're currently eating and switching to something that is healthier and it tastes good and it supports you in not starving yourself. It supports you in enjoying the food that you're consuming and supporting your body in getting the nutrients that it needs. It doesn't have a bunch of fillers in it. It doesn't have fake fiber in it. It doesn't have folic acid in it. And all these other things that they say that is a, you know, something for you to be able to be healthy. But you look at the food and it's like the reason why they have to add all this crap back into it is because it's not real food. And I hate that we have to call it food, honestly, because it's crap. It's not food. And so getting out of that space and taking action towards yourself starts to allow you to realize that it's crap and it's not food. And since it's crap and not food, and you stop believing that it's actual food, you'll start to realize and treat yourself as you should. What your body is a kingdom, is to be treated like a temple, because the kingdom of heaven is within inside of you. And that is in scripture. And the kingdom of heaven is within inside of you. It's within you. And since it's within you, would you sit there and feed a bunch of crap to the kingdom of heaven? Like, come on now. We have to come and come together, put things together and connect the dots. We are sitting here feeding our temple, the only vessel that we get on this life, full of crap and no nutrients, and we're expecting to be healthy. We're expected to be able to operate and function every single day, wondering why we wake up tired even though we slept 12 hours. Like, we have to take this false reality that we have been fed, this programming, and reprogram it, reparent ourselves, and to learn healthier habits and new habits that are going to support us. Because I was there in that space. I'm not just talking. I was there. I was once sitting there, not understanding how to take care of my body, was constantly sick. And I'd never been a sick person, but I was inflamed on the inside. And so I was suffering. And so once I got out of that space and I realized that, like, I didn't deserve that, and I started to understand how to take care of my body, I started to reset myself, because I started doing a detox and a cleanse with fruits and vegetables and understood how to do it correctly so I wasn't starving. I started to see how my body changed and how my body was supported, and it truly amazed me. I'm 3.5 years in, and I will never go back. Like, when I say I will never go back, I'm 3.5 years into being plant-based, and I do not crave meat anymore. I look at meat and it does not affect me. People can eat around me all the time. I have been to so many social events where I had nothing to eat, but because I know how to prepare myself to support myself, so I'm not sitting there starving. I'm not sitting there craving the food that I used to eat, because I remake it in a plant-based form. And since I remake all the foods that I used to love in a healthy form, I don't crave the food that they eat, because I know it's full of crap. I know that majority of society is eating GMOs. I know they're sitting here inflamed. I know these people are developing heart disease. They're sitting here developing high blood pressure, diabetes, like all of these things. And it's not just how society puts it, where it runs in your family. You have to realize that every action has a consequence, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. So the action that you have put in this earth, of whether you had that developed when you were in your mother's womb, and then you come into this earth, you didn't have diabetes, but then you start to develop insulin resistance around the time that you're 20, like I did. You start to realize that your habits that you had and the actions that you were taking throughout the course of your 20 years on this earth led you to developing a disease, which is diabetes. It was not genetics. It was not something that was passed down generationally from your genetics. It's passed down from the actions, and that's the consequence. Because like I said before, it says it in Ephesians 26, that if you choose this earth's ways, that the Most High gives you to this earth, and since you have been given to this earth, you're leading yourself to inflammation, disease, and wasting away. And that's exactly what our society is doing. They're sitting here inflamed, disease, and wasting away. And they're doing it earlier and earlier. Like, once 2020 hit and they were sitting there rolling out all of those shots, and they were sitting there telling the people that, you know, teens were having heart attacks, they were having heart problems, they were having high blood pressure. That should have triggered something in everybody. But no, instead, everybody just started saying that it was in their family. It was genetics. It was this and that. You have to realize that actions have consequences, and they trigger things. And so people do not connect the dots. So I'm here to connect the dots. Like, it's truly frustrating, but I will connect the dots for you if I have to. And so we have to sit here and take our health off the back burner and take our health seriously, because majority of society puts consuming first, eating first, feeling first, and puts their health on the back burner and then never moves it to the front. That's the kicker. They'll sit there and be 60 or 70 years old and then be like, well, this is how I've eaten all my life, and then don't even try to change anything. And they developed high blood pressure, they have kidney disease, they're sitting here with gut issues, they've been having IBS since they were 30, like having all of these issues. And now, especially in women, we're having so many infertility issues going on, and it's just getting worse. And we have to realize that we are taking action towards us getting worse instead of taking action towards us getting better. And so it's time for us to make a shift and make a change and put our health in the front line, not the back burner, but on the front line. And so instead of sitting there putting it on the back burner and putting it in the front line, we should be eating to fuel our body instead of filling. We should be fueling ourselves with nutrients so that we have the energy that we need, so that our body is supported in moving all of our systems. Because if your systems are not moving as the rate that they need to, you are backed up. And especially if you're consuming meat, you have to realize that if you are backed up inside of you, what do you think is going on inside of your gut? Because we all know what meat looks like on the side of the road when it's decaying. So if you're consuming meat and your systems are not regulating and disposing of the meat that you consume as often as it needs to in the way that it needs to, what do you think is happening inside of your body? The meat is decaying inside of your gut, inside of your intestines. And I can speak from experience, not just out the side of my neck. You have to realize, I had somebody close to my family who eats a lot of meat, had to have their intestines taken out of side of their body, removed, disconnected, and get a colostomy bag because their intestines started eating themselves because of all of the toxins that were inside of their body, and the toxins that were no longer being filtered by their kidneys was leaking into their gut biome and destroying their intestines. And so you have to realize that you're doing this to yourself, and that person realized they were doing this themselves and did a momentary diet, and it worked for them for the year and they got their intestines reconnected. But during that time, they were suffering. They had to go through 2 surgeries, one surgery to get them disconnected and then another surgery to get them reconnected. Had to have a colostomy bag for a year. And you have to realize that, like, it all started with the food. Because if you're toxic on the inside and consuming meat and your systems are not functioning the way they should, think about that. It is literally decaying inside of your body. And you have to realize that, like, what feeds off of decaying things? Parasites. Like, people love to sit there and try to argue that they don't have parasites, but parasites love decaying things. They love things to feed off of, and that includes fruits and vegetables. But when you're eating fruits and vegetables and you're constantly moving your systems, the parasites are moving with them. You're sitting there doing things that you need to, because I eat things like pumpkin seeds that expel them. I eat things that help my body remove parasites. But when you're constantly eating meat, and you eat meat and dairy and that's your diet, and you barely eat vegetables, you definitely don't eat any fruits, you're full of parasites, you're full of decaying meat, and the parasites are feeding off of the food that you're eating. And so you have to realize that they thrive in that environment. They thrive in the toxic environment that you're feeding your body, and then cancer thrives in there too. So everything is thriving inside of you that is harming you and leading you to being diseased. And you keep consuming this way because that's what these people who have these titles tell you to consume. That's what these people tell you that you need to eat. That you fit in this box of normal because you don't want to be vegan or plant-based or whatever else. And I've talked about this on my YouTube. You can go check that out. That vegan or plant-based are 2 different things. Because in my opinion, I'm not going to go deep into it, but from what I have witnessed and living in that lifestyle, vegans only care about taking care of the animals. And I don't know how you can take care of an animal, but you're not prioritizing your own health, because they'll be perfectly fine with eating the toxic chemicals and the toxins inside of foods that are harming you, but taking care and making sure that the environment and animals are okay. And I'm not okay with that, because if you can't care for yourself first, you cannot say that you care for anything else. Like, that is point blank period. I can never trust somebody who does not care about themselves enough to put their own health first, but will put an animal's first or another being's health first, but won't care for themselves. You cannot trust that. If you don't even care about yourself enough to make a change, you can't care for anything else enough. Like, we have to get out of that space. And you have to understand that we were put on this earth in the beginning when we were first established here, and you know, before we got into our mother's womb, but when we were conceived, we were perfect. When we were coming from the Most High, we were perfect. And the only thing that entered sin into our life is man's actions. Man's actions. So like I said, actions have consequences, and the actions that we're taking towards our health are leading us to be inflamed, diseased, and wasting away. And it's consistent. Look at society. Look at the stats. Look at all of the science that y'all love to quote, and realize that, because you're connecting the dots of the little sprinkles that they give you, but you're doing no research to connect the dots of why society is so unhealthy. And when you start to connect the dots of why society is so unhealthy, you look, you realize, and you see it's because we have been sitting here consuming the way that they tell us to. The way that they tell us to, in this moderation that they say, not really consuming in moderation, because you don't even know that you're eating 5 different things in one day with citric acid in it, which is mold, which is black mold. And so you have to get to the reality of you nourishing your body with the nutrients that it needs and becoming consciously aware of what you're consuming. And that starts with you reparenting your food habits. And it's okay that you've been taught the way that you have, and that you have learned what you have, and you've held on to it for so long, because we are creatures of habit. But now it's a time that, like, we're all adults here. It's time for us to realize that we're passing this down generationally to our children. We're passing this down to our children's children. We continuously keep this going. And it's because we say, this is the way that I've consumed all my life. This is how I was taught. Not sitting here realizing that, like, if somebody's an abuser, do you sit there and copy the abuser? I know that people, that's a whole thing in psychology and everything. But in reality, if you know that it's wrong and you're not an abusive person, but that's what you were taught in your household, are you going to sit there and abuse somebody else just because that's what you grew up around? Or are you knowing that it's wrong, and you realize that, and you're mentally stable, and you know that, and you have never been abusive in your life, but you know how to be abusive? Are you going to sit there and choose the abuse because that's what you grew up around? No. And the same thing needs to be put towards what you're consuming and how you're treating your body. Just because everybody else in your household sits there and eats pork, and you know that they've been making GMO pigs since 2019, why would you sit there and keep eating pork? Like, if it's your culture, I understand. Like, because there are plenty of cultures that eat pork, and a lot of their dishes are based from pork. But there are so many different alternatives for you to make pork out of fruits and vegetables that taste the same. Because everybody that has tried my food that I cook for, and I give you recipes on here as well, and on my Instagram, my TikTok, my my YouTube, my Facebook, they say the same thing of, wow, that tastes good. It tastes the same. Like, I have made so many different recipes, and I try to get people who are not plant-based to try my food all the time, just so they can see how similar it is. And I'm hopefully going to do it soon, because we haven't talked about it. My family's talking about having a family reunion, and we're supposed to be doing like a bring your own food kind of thing, and having a, like, if you want to taste it kind of thing. And so I'm going to be planning on bringing all plant-based dishes and make a bunch so that everybody can try something. And that's because I want to encourage others to understand that this lifestyle is not hard, and that this lifestyle supports you. But it's just about, what are you going to do to support yourself? And if you want change, you will go and get it. Because I'm here to support you, and I'm here to help. But it's a matter of, do you want that change for yourself, and do you want to help yourself? Because if you want to help yourself, I'm here to help you. But it starts with you understanding that what you're currently doing is poisoning you, and it's not helping you, and it's not supporting you in staying healthy, and it's not giving you the foundation of you being energetic and vibrant like you should be. And so we have to understand that we are nourishing our body with the wrong foods, or we think we're nourishing our body and we're eating crap. And it's time for us to get into the reality of that it's not getting better out there in society. It's not getting better for us. And so we have to make a change, because like I said, if things go back to how it was in 2020 and you were still consuming the way that you are, but by 2030, you are going to be in for a rude awakening, because no supplement is going to help you. No amount of supplements are helping you now. Like, let's just say that if you were having to supplement in something to get something, to get the nutrients that you need, you're not giving your body the food that it needs. because I have been plant-based for over 3.5 years, and I stopped taking supplements within the first 3 months, because I learned how to support my body, and I realized that supplements are not supporting me. Supplements are just masking the issue of that I'm not getting enough nutrients. And here I am, healthy as can be, because everybody likes to ask, how do you get protein? How do you get iron? They try to ask you, how do you get your B12? Like all these things. I eat whole foods. I eat a rainbow plate. I make sure that I eat the colors of the rainbow, because that's what they're designed for. Like, you have to make the connection. The rainbow that is displayed to you in scripture that tells you that that is a sign of faith, that same rainbow is shown to you all throughout the world when it comes to what you're consuming and the food that you're exposed to. So you have to literally make the connections, because life is so beautiful. But we sit here and have to sit here and disassociate in order to make it through, instead of realizing that you should be sowing the seeds for you to be able to detach and for you to feel comfortable detaching, because you know you have given yourself the nutrients that you need. Because I know that I can go eat a meal and I can sit there and I can eat once a day. I've given myself everything that I need to be able to function for the rest of the day. Like, I fast every single day. I have not eaten today. I've only drank water. I usually fast until about, the earliest that I ever eat is 12:30, but I usually fast. I try to make it till 2 o'clock. I fast all the way till from between 2 to 5, depending on how late I'll go. But I fast every single day. And then I eat about 1 to 2 meals. I might eat some snacks in between, but I always, first thing, break my fast with is water. That's the only thing that I consume when I'm waking up. It's early and I know that I'm not hungry. I drink water. And people don't realize that, like, the longer you stay in a fasting state, your body is healing, because it's eating up all of the things that it doesn't need. And so, and the things that it couldn't get rid of the previous day, because we overconsume as a society. Because like I said, we're not sitting here consuming in moderation like they say. We're overconsuming as a society. And it's time for us to make a shift and make a change, because we are not consuming these foods in moderation. We are consuming a bunch of poisonous, toxic chemicals because we think we're consuming in moderation, because we're being told this is moderation, not realizing that we are harming ourselves with our habits, and we are leading ourselves to be financially, mentally, physically, and emotionally unstable. And we see that because society is evident of that. And so if you want that change for yourself, I can support you. And like I said, all of my links are in my Instagram and in my Facebook bio, or you can shoot me a DM of what you want and what you need for yourself, and we can have a chat and we can talk. Because I truly am here to support you in understanding that, like, things like soy are not supporting us. Us sitting here eating these GMOs are not supporting us. And that's what I'm talking about. By 2030, if you are consuming the way that you are, you're eating McDonald's, you're eating Burger King, you're sitting here going to Chick-fil-A because you see Chick-fil-A just changed their chicken. They just changed their chicken. I think they're changing it June 1st. It was either May 20th or June 1st, something like, it's in between that time. They just changed their chicken. They've told you about this. There's a reason that these companies are doing this. There's a reason why they don't have to tell you if their meat is GMO. You have to understand that there is an agenda every single time. The higher ups, these people who have these labels, every time they make a law that has a loophole, there's a reason why. And you have to realize that. And so if you understand the agenda and you understand where it's going, you know that soy is a filler product, and majority of soy that we come in contact with now today is soy is GMO. And for the people that want to argue that that has been disproven, it has not. There are plenty of articles that tell you, especially here in America, 95+%, because I really feel like it was higher than 95, of the soy is GMO. And GMOs are not safe, because you've also been fed that programming that believe that GMOs are safe and they're supporting you. GMOs feed cancer cells because it triggers something in your body. And I was reading this scientific journal that was talking about it, that it triggers something in your body. It triggers a type of cell inside of your body that feeds cancer. And so the more you eat GMOs and you are filled with this, you are sitting there feeding this cancer with the GMOs that you're consuming. And so we have to sit here and realize there's an agenda pushed with these GMOs. That's the reason why they started bringing these GMOs out in 2019 before they had us locked down. And then ever since then, every year they came out with a new GMO animal. They started with pigs, then they did cows, then they did chickens. Like, you have to understand that they have literally been ramping up to get to this point for a reason. And so understand the agenda. Stop sitting here conforming and start questioning things. Start questioning what is going on into your food and release the earthly belief, because there's spiritual side effects to what we're doing to ourselves, because we, as a society, like I said, I'm not here anymore, but I used to be there. We are sitting here consuming too many spiritually dead foods. And that's the reason why our society is sitting here confused. They're sitting here struggling. Our society is sitting here anxious, depressed, on all these antidepressants, disassociate. Attach is a different thing. Detachment is a different thing. Having to disassociate to make it through the day, because I was a psychology major, so I use some of the terms still. Disassociating is you sitting there going through something that was stressful and traumatic and that you can't deal with it. So you have to disassociate in order for you to make it through. It's a coping mechanism for you to make it through. But you detaching looks like how I knew that I wanted to be healthier, and I knew that I wanted to live a lifestyle of me being vegan at first, not realizing that plant-based was going to support me more, but I knew I wanted to be healthier. So I detached myself from the outcome of how this is going to work and how this is going to happen. I prayed on it, I educated myself, and I took action towards what I needed to do so that I could be in that space. But I detached myself from the outcome because I knew it was happening for me. But disassociating, however, if I would have disassociated when I found out the information about GMOs, if I would have found out the information about soy, if I would have found out the information about how much crap I had eaten over my lifetime, I would still be at the state where I was, over 200 pounds, suffering and struggling, sitting there trying to figure out how to support myself, sitting there with my weight fluctuating so much, having asthma, not being able to run anymore, not being able to play the sport that I love, not sitting here with knee pain, not being able to bend down without my knee locking up at 20 years old. Like, having that detached mentality has society sitting here having that disassociating mentality has society sitting here not questioning anything and conforming and being how they want us to, which is just to be programmed and fed and just keep on going. And so we have to realize that it is an agenda, and we need to stop disassociating, but rather learning how to sow the seed so that we can detach from the outcome, because we know we're taking care of ourselves. And so I truly hope that this live has supported you. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment now. I'll sit here and take questions for a couple of minutes. But if you don't know, I've said this already, but if you're new and you're joining, I am a plant-based lifestyle strategist. I help you be able to understand what chemicals and what things that are going inside of your food and what you're doing to your body and how you're harming it. And I know as well as externally and internally how to help yourself heal, and using it from a space of fruits and vegetables, and understanding and getting all of your nutrients starts with you getting back to the basics. Because people start things thinking that they're going to do it in a diet culture, not realizing that diet culture does not support you. And we see that because we look at diet culture. You see people who do Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all this other stuff, and you see how they struggle. They go through the thing for so long, uncomfortable and unhappy, because they're calorie restricting, they're counting calories, doing all of these things. But then as soon as they get off of it, they gain all the weight back, and if not, they gain more. And I know, because I'm speaking from experience, I used to do diet culture. I stopped doing diet culture and changed my lifestyle. And since I changed my lifestyle, it has supported me completely. When I say completely, like I said, I healed myself from asthma. I allowed myself to be able to sit here and no longer have inflammation, so I'm not suffering from knee pain. I'm not developing hip pain like I was doing and back pain like I was. I have lost all the issues I had with weight fluctuation, and now I'm at a stable weight and a healthy weight, and I lose weight easier. And I feel like, honestly, I feel more comfortable being active because I'm not sitting here constantly in pain and inflamed. And so the lifestyle has truly supported me and has allowed me to be comfortable in the body that I'm in, and it's allowed me to detach myself from the outcome, because I know I'm taking care of myself by the habits that I have, because it's now a subconscious thing for me to take care of my body. It is subconscious for me to be able to sit here and know how to read my labels and know what common ingredients are harming me, and to be able to spread the word. And so I truly hope that this has supported you. I don't see any questions. So like I said, my DMs are always open if you have any questions. And I do post all of my previous lives on YouTube. You can go check that out. I have a Purge the Poison playlist as well as a plant-based mastery playlist. So these are just free tips, all for you to be able to understand how to get into the lifestyle. And do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube if you have not. And I hope that you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. And just try to choose your health, take it off the back burner, and put it on the front line so that you can support yourself in being healthy.